So this is section 11.4, and before, in the last video, we saw how we would solve the quadratic formula and how we got two solutions. We got two solutions when we did that, but sometimes we only get one solution. So here is using the quadratic formula, and we only have one solution, okay, instead of two. So here's the example. Let's do it's 25x squared plus 20, okay, and then plus 20x plus 4 equal to 0. And let's use the quadratic formula. X equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. Let's use this to find the x-intercept. Okay. So first, again, you have to know what the a, the b, and the c is. So a is here, so that's 25. It's always next to the x squared. The b is always next to the x, so that's 20. And then we have 4, which is the last one, c. So now the second step is to put it into the formula. So x is equal to negative 20, because there's a negative in the equation, plus or minus the square root of 20 squared, minus 4 times 25 times 4, okay, and that's all divided by 2 times 25. Alright, so this is minus 20 plus or minus 20 squared is 400 minus 4 times 25, that's 100. And 100 times 4 is 400. And then we multiply and we get 50. Notice when you have a one solution problem, the square root is going to turn into a 0. So that becomes x equal to negative 20 plus or minus the square root of 0 over 50. And so this goes away. And so there is no plus or minus, only a negative 20 divided by 50. And we can divide top and bottom by 10 to simplify, and so we get negative 2/5. So my final answer becomes negative 2/5, 0, because it is an x-intercept. And what it's telling me is if I was to graph this equation, and right now I can't because of the way this is set up, but if I was to graph it at, here's negative 1, here's negative 2. Negative 2/5 is pretty small. It might be right around here. And so all it does is that the curve comes down and touches the x-axis only at one point. Okay? And that's what's going on. So if I decided to graph this, I could do it as y1 equal to 25x squared plus 20x plus 4. And so if I graph that on my calculator, I will see that. So I'm going to clear everything, clear that. I'll type in 25x to the power of 2, okay, and then add 20x and then plus 4. And this time I'm not going to push zoom 6 because I'm not going to see anything. So I'm going to do zoom 0 instead, and that gives me a better graph. Okay, so I notice it comes down and just hits it at one point. That's what it does. And you can see that in the table if you hit second table. So yeah, so at it goes down, negative 1 is 9, 0 is 4. So somewhere in between here, it actually touches it. So I can actually ask the calculator to do that. I can go to second calc and pick the minimum. So 3. And so it wants me to put it on the left bound, so I'll put it over to the left. I can't see it right now, so there it is, I see it. So enter, and then go to the right, put it on the right side. There it is. And then enter again, and it gives it to me at negative 0.39, and I believe that's what negative 2/5 would be. So if I go to second quit and did negative 2 divided by 5, I get the negative 4. So it's really darn close to what the graph is saying here. Was at negative 0.39. So it got it. So anyways, this is the x-intercept where we only have one solution. The next video will be where we are using the quadratic formula and we don't get a solution at all. So we need to see that example too.